cars are on the track here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Let's give you a look at the starting lineup and how they'll take the green. Today, Bobby Hamilton Jr. with his third career pole will lead the field to the green flag. Hornaday Jr., Vickers, Keller, all in the tight fight for the championship, all starting in the first 3 rows. Johnny Sauter drives for Richard Childress Racing. He's going to come from row number 4 today, and David Green, the championship leader, back in row number 6. Defending winner of the race, Hank Parker Jr., along with Tim Fedewa in row number 7. Scott Riggs, second in points, going to come from row number 9 today. And you look at the rest of the starting field for today's Trim Spa Dream Body 250.
See if we can get a hold of Bobby Jr. in that 25 Marine car. Well, we'll check with him in just a second.
The line's busy.
The line's busy.
You were dialing, but he was on the phone. I guess he didn't have call waiting.
No.
Tammy Jo Kirk in the field, back in row 18, made the field on time. And now the provisional starters for today's race. Glad you joined us. Green flag, we're underway. Hamilton Jr. with the break in the early lead. Here's Hornaday challenging Compton for second.
A lot of give and take right now. These cars, like we said earlier, very slippery racetrack. These guys know that. Trying to get a couple laps on their tires, get everything up to temperature.
Ron Hornaday and Richard Childress' 2 car sliding through into the runner-up spot. Stacy Compton falling back to 3rd. Brian Vickers slides out 4th, and Mike Bliss, driving for Joe Gibbs, holds out the 5th spot.
Already see a couple lines there. You know, watching some of these cars in practice, I still think you want to be on the bottom, and obviously that 25 car with the last couple of races he had in Kentucky and Chicago with that car, he's going to be difficult.
Blue and green car there, the 37 machine. That's David Green, the NASCAR Busch Series championship leader. Started the race in 11th spot. He's picked up 2 positions now, just took 9th away from his teammate. Behind him, Joey Clanton, the rookie driver. That is David's teammate. This is still the race for 3rd position. And here comes Casey Kane in the 38 up to challenge Mike Bliss. Make this a nice little 4-way fight for a spot. Here's the gap from Ron Hornaday in 2nd, back to that side-by-side race for 3rd. You know, that what drivers really love about this track, Wally, is a lot the same thing they say about Richmond on the Winston Cup side. 2 lanes of green grass.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously with Vickers and Stacy Compton going at it side-by-side for 5 laps, it's been pretty even.
Got something on the 59 car, Ralph?
Yeah, Alan, I spoke to Stacy this morning, and he told me, he said, we really worked upon something the last couple of weeks. They've done a lot of work on this car, and we really finally figured out the tires, the Goodyear Eagles that they're running. They made some air pressure adjustments, and then adjusted the chassis to the air pressures, and he said that has made a tremendous difference in how this car runs. Plus, they've had some time in the wind tunnel with the body, and they finally feel like they've got a handle on that as well. So the whole package has finally come together for Stacy Compton, and is showing on the racetrack.
And the race for 5th continues with Casey Kane finally nosing out in front of Mike Bliss. And here comes Johnny Sauter in the 21 car up behind them. Sauter splits his time between 2 cars on the circuit. If you were with us on TNT last Saturday, he was driving the 43 car for Kerry Agajanian and rocketed up through the field, took the lead, and then had things go wrong. He wound up in the garage with an engine failure. But at the end of that race, NASCAR took the tires from that 43 car for inspection. I spoke with NASCAR Busch Series Director Brian Dehart about that. He said they took those tires back to NASCAR's Research and Development Center in North Carolina, found nothing wrong with them, and then have sent them on to a lab for chemical analysis just to be sure.
Yep. The first guy I ran into on Sunday morning in New Hampshire was Kerry Agajanian. He grabbed me and went, they're not going to find anything wrong with those tires.
Yeah. Look a little farther back. Scott Wimmer now working on David Stremme in the 1 car to try and pick up a spot. This is the race for 11th and 12th. And you're looking ahead from Shane Meals' view at that battle.
Boy, listen how easy he gets after the throttle. That's because it's slippery. Real smooth with the throttle. See how he just picks it up. He's not slamming the gas pedal down, because if you slam the gas pedal down right now, probably get sideways and wind up in the fence.
See, the lead cars have already begun putting some of the slower machines a lap down. 61 is Justin Ashburn, who has fallen behind already. So Stremme in the 1 and Wimmer in the 23, hanging in just outside the top 10 right now, and looking to gain some spots farther forward. That one car, David Stremme, what an impressive young man he's been so far. 26 years old from South Bend, Indiana. Last season was running the ASA circuit. He was the Rookie of the Year on the ASA short track circuit last year. He's on the development program for Chip Ganassi, the Winston Cup team owner. And in just a handful of starts this season, 8 races, he's got 5 top 10 finishes.
Yep, and it helps he's with a very good team. That yellow team is a very strong team. It has been in the past, so what an opportunity for a young guy to come in and get in great equipment.
Speaking of young guys, Shane Meal right there in the 48, trying to find some running room underneath Scott Wimmer. How about David Stremme, Mark?
Alan, he's a guy who grew up around racing. His whole family is involved in it. I wanted to ask Wally, you probably raced against your dad, but David Stremme grew up racing against his mom. And that's how he, got his aggressive style. I wonder if Wally ever had the same experience.
I haven't. I've raced against my wife.
Yeah?
She whipped up on me pretty good.
That's why
not my mom.
That's
no.
why you stopped racing against her, right?
That's right. A lot more peaceful on the racetrack and at home.
So this going on from 11th position on back. Up front, it's been all Hamilton Jr. so far.
There's 2 guys going at it.
Same place Ashton Lewis has got him.
Right.
Right on the white line. Lewis in that 46 has moved up from 9th starting spot to 7th, and he's trying to take 6th away from Casey Kane in the 38. There's the patch.
These guys are very loose right now. You can tell by when they're getting on the throttle. If they're getting on the throttle that easy, their race cars are loose.
Now here's the race for second place. Ron Hornaday has been bumped back a couple of positions during the break a moment ago. And Stacy Compton sliding around Brian Vickers there as they race for that spot. Talk about that pass a minute ago on Ron Hornaday. Brian Vickers was the aggressor, and Hornaday was the aggressee.
Well, it looks like
okay.
Hornaday got out of shape there. He got loose, and he had to jump back off the throttle, and Vickers was all over him at the time. But these 2 cars right here look like they may be gaining a little bit on the 25 car of Bobby Hamilton Jr. Now, if they start racing each other, obviously they're going to slow down a little bit, but when they got behind single file there, they were picking a little bit up, not much.
Vickers trying to get that second spot away from Stacy Compton. Compton able to run in just a little bit harder into the corner in that outside lane. And he holds him off for now. Ralph, we're hearing that word loose a lot out on the racetrack. Drivers' radios we're hearing. How about down in the garage and on pit road?
Alan, it's all up and down pit road right now. Everybody on the radio talking about how loose the car is. And Wally, this is one of the trickiest times of the race, I would think, for the crew chief, because you've got to get your car into a rhythm that's going to be quick, but not going to abuse the car. And we're hearing a lot of that going back and forth now. Crew chief's talking to the drivers, find that rhythm and stay there.
Yeah, you're right, Ralph. But what the crew chief's telling these guys right now is, okay, we're going to fix it when you come in for a pit stop. You've got to ride it out. So just find your rhythm, be smooth, and just hang on. Because there's nothing else you can do until you get into the pits and make an adjustment. You've got to live with it, and you don't want to come in too early, because a lot of times you come in too early, that's going to really mess things up. So you just have to calm down and know everybody else is going through the same thing.
And Vickers persistent in his effort to get underneath Compton, but just not able to complete the pass.
And Vickers has been working on him. I mean,
yeah.
And Stacy Compton, that 59 car, has been tough. He's not letting them by. You know, you would think after about 15 or 20 laps, Stacy might just say, I'll let him go and maybe we won't lose so much time racing against Bobby Hamilton Jr., but he's hanging tough. See him taking a look at the bottom. Now Stacy should be able to get in. He's on the high line, so take advantage here. If Vickers can pick up the throttle and stay on the throttle, he can complete the pass.
Oh, trouble. Turn 4. Justin Ashburn, excuse me, that's
Vickers
Larry
got
Gunselman, and Brian Vickers just clobbered him. The other car involved is Jeremy Clements in the 71 car, a little farther up the track. Caution is out for the first time in the race. And Brian Vickers racing for second spot. One of the championship contenders is going to be in some deep trouble here. And here's the leader, Hamilton Jr., and it happened right in front of him. That's Clements in the 71.
All by himself.
First around.
Now, I don't...
Gunselman got down on the apron trying to avoid the accident. Oh.
I think Vickers just didn't know which way to go. Thought the car was going to slide back up the racetrack out of the way.
Oh, boy. So caution is out, and here come all the leaders onto pit road.
Give me tires.
Stops coming at lap 31. Hamilton Jr., Compton, and Hornaday, the top 3 coming in. Ralph?
45 miles an hour down pit road today, Alan. They're going to take tires on this car. He rated in. Harold Hawley asked him, how's the car? He said, it's great. So all they're going to do is change tires. Kyle Petty, the front tire changer, going to work on this car. One tire gets loose. NASCAR official getting that for them. They're going to get the tires changed, completed, and send it back underway. The only car in the field not complaining about its setup.
A couple others get out ahead of him. Compton and Hornaday off pit road first. It's Paul Menard, Andy Petrie Racing, heading back out after his service.
Looks like they had to push him off. The car must have stalled during the pit stop because I saw the crew push him away.
Johnny Sauter out 5th in Richard Childress's 21 car. Cleanup continues inside turn 4. 3-car accident that swept up the 3rd place driver in the NASCAR Busch Series Championship, Brian Vickers. Back underway with Stacy Compton leading. Jason Schuler finally peeled off and pitted. Here comes Hornaday with the outside charge for the race lead.
Very good move. Hadn't quite pulled it off yet, but whoa! That was close. That was close. 59 drifted up the racetrack and just got in the left for a quarter panel run and a little bit loose.
So Hornaday, the 4th place man in the NASCAR Busch Series Championship, collects the bonus points for leading the lap. Using up a lot of racetrack behind him. Here's Jason Keller. Keller in 12th place. Shane Meal, Scott Wimmer racing there, 48-23. That's for 9th and 10th. And beginning to catch Hank Parker Jr. to try and make that a 3-way fight for position. Look at Meal right down on the white line. Excuse me, coming through.
See ya.
It's got to be a tough thing on Hank to come in on a one-off shot with a race team. Mike Skinner is going to drive this car next week at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Hi, welcome aboard. You've got 1 race. Thank you very much.
Hey, beats sitting home. Beats, I mean, you know, I think he's real happy for the opportunity. He's probably loving it that he's back in a race car. And yeah, it is tough because it's hard to get with the team and not know what they're used to, or the communication thing's the biggest thing. The driver has to try to communicate. The crew's trying to understand what the driver wants. Yes, it's hard for 1 race deal, but still, beats sitting on the couch.
Stacy Compton trying to put some pressure on Ron Hornaday for the lead. And Hamilton Jr. trying to close in. Last time by through turn 4, Compton made a big run up behind Hornaday in the high lane, but Hornaday was there. He had no place to go. This time he tries the bottom side.
And Hornaday's car looks like it's working better up in the high line. He's been doing that since the start of the race, especially up in 3 and 4. Here you see 1 and 2, he's up high.
How about the leader, Ralph?
Alan, Ron Hornaday's always been known as a tremendous amount of focus, and he really showed what he was made of during qualifying. I interviewed him just before he was about to roll out, and he mentioned to me that his daughter Candace had become very ill, and his wife had rushed out of the racetrack to get home. And here's Ron Hornaday strapped into the car and has to go out and qualify. How well did he do? Well, he put it on the provisional pole. It turns out we thought that Candace was suffering from a ruptured appendix. Turns out it was something else. She's going to be okay. But Ron Hornaday showed what a champion is all about by running as strong as he possibly could. He told me this morning, as soon as I got out of the car to that qualifying lap, like a giant sigh, the emotion of Candace being ill swept back over his body, and he was covered in goosebumps. Today, he's racing, hoping his daughter's getting better, but he's chasing a championship.
Ooh, Compton almost sliding up into him there.
Well, Stacy's trying to make a run, getting into the corner, and he gets through the center, and he gets through the center okay, but he's sliding up that racetrack. Fortunately, Hornaday, I think, has an idea that he's doing that, and he's moving a little bit higher up in the corner. Yeah, but yeah.
Compton's got to play defense now. Here comes Hamilton Jr. with the charge. And Mike Bliss. Great little four-way fight for the lead. Look at it, all over the racetrack now. Isn't that great?
Wow, that's racing there.
Compton, Hamilton Jr., Bliss. The top 4.
You just got to look at Hamilton's car, though, and say, you know what? It's just a matter of time before he passes these guys. His car is so strong on the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, you got to give Compton credit for persistence.
Oh, yeah. He's working them. Man, it looks like Ron Hornaday parks up in the middle of the corner. But he's got that run off of the corners. He's got all the momentum, keeping that car rolling. The other guys that are working the bottom of the racetrack, they're trying to stay down, and they're scrubbing off a little bit more speed, but
Hornaday, 1 win already this season for him. That was at the Nazareth, Pennsylvania mile track back in mid-May. 3 top 5 finishes the last 5 races. He finished 3rd, 4th, and 4th at Kentucky, Milwaukee, and Daytona Beach, respectively. He has won here before in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And get this, for Ron Hornaday, racing here in both the NASCAR Busch Series and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, he's never finished outside the top 10 in a race at this speedway.
well, liking a racetrack is obviously and definitely an advantage.
And up front, another bid for the lead by Stacy Kopp. Rats foiled again.
Yeah, 3 different lines right there. Got Hamilton on the white line on the bottom. Stacy's running right about the middle, and Hornaday is way up high.
So when you're Compton and you keep trying and trying and trying, are you getting frustrated or are you having fun?
Oh yeah, no, you're having fun, but I think eventually you got to try to get that front bumper on his rear bumper and just at least try to take the air off, getting into the corner, just so he makes one little slip.
Hamilton Jr. not able to stick to Compton's inside and put a move on there for second place. I don't think there's any question Hamilton Jr. in that 25 has been the hottest driver on the circuit as of late. Couple of wins, all coming within the last month and a half or so. Kentucky Motor Speedway, Chicagoland Speedway. Hamilton Jr. has not only gone to victory lane, but he's had clearly the best car in the field on those nights. Though at Kentucky, he had to have some late race heroics overcome another driver to get the checkered flag. Hamilton Jr. he's been colorful.
Here we go, here we go.
Here we go.
And it happened.
Bliss with the payback.
It happened.
And Hamilton Jr. into the outside wall.
Now the
Caution
fireworks
flag
begin.
is out. Yellow flag number 2. Hank Parker Jr. is the leader. How'd he get that top spot, Mark?
Well, for one thing, he didn't change any tires, Alan. They just filled it up with gas. They put a little bit of wedge in that Kleenex Chevrolet, but that's all they did. No tires and gas. That gave them the track position they have right now.
Well, I watched that 7 car go backwards quickly once they get the green.
Well, let's find out. Here they come.
Yeah, they just spun the tires right there, and Hornaday almost ran them over.
Missed a restart. Ron Hornaday cleanly by into the lead. Now Ashton Lewis going to tuck up underneath of Parker Jr. for second.
46 car take 2 or 4 tires?
We'll check. Might have taken none. So Hornaday now back in the lead, just a mile after the restart. Got a good jump on Hank Parker Jr.
Well, like I said, I think Hank May spun the tires here. And when you're making a restart on old tires and the guys behind you have new tires, you got to be careful of that. Hot, slick tires.
So Hornaday leads, Ashton for second, Parker Jr. is racing Mike Bliss for third. Fifth is Jason Keller. Then David Green and Scott Wimmer right behind them.
Well, Jason Keller's car looks like it's coming on.
No, you just have to wait on that gas.
Yeah.
Just like your...
That's with new tires.
Yeah.
So...
And confirmation from pit road, the 46 car got 2 tires.
Okay.
Ashton Lewis. So there you go. How about this for third place? Jason Keller. He's got it rolling up through the pack right now. And there's your championship leader, David Green, in the green and blue 37. Getting into the mix. Oh, by the way, the 20 there, Mike Bliss, he and Bobby Hamilton Jr. have been called to a meeting in the big blue trailer at race's conclusion.
They're going to have to start paying rent. They keep going back to that trailer.
And we're going to a short track next week with the Busch Series. The half-mile Indianapolis Raceway Park, TNT, next Saturday night.
David taking a look under Mike Bliss. Now he's taking a better look.
That'll be for 6th place. The leader off 81.
Uh-oh, here comes a math lesson, I can tell.
Giving them 110 to 115 laps on fuel, 196. So everybody should be good on one more stop for fuel from there. So the economy thing might have been taken out of the equation here today.
Well, that'd be good.
It'd be great to see him fight it out to the finish because there's been some good stuff today. 6th place you're watching here, David Green trying to take the spot away from Mike Bliss. Just behind them, Johnny Sauter. Just ahead of them, Hank Parker Jr. And this is all going on about 2 seconds behind leader Ron Hornaday. Lap traffic ahead.
Yeah, Ron Hornaday's doing a good job holding these guys off on that high line. It's hard to do.
With the nose out front, but here comes Hornaday back on the high side.
And see, Jason gets behind any one of these guys, he's going to make them loose. If he gets behind the 2 car, he'll loosen him up. You know, really close.
Wow, look at that. That back end of that car just dancing around there on that 2. Well, not yet. When this racetrack opened in 1997, first NASCAR Busch Series race here in 1998, it drew rave reviews from the drivers just for the kind of competition you're seeing right now. 2 lanes just as fast, outside or inside. And And a three-way fly-in formation for the, whoa, a little slip with Hornaday there.
That's all it took right there. Just a little bit loose.
New leader, Scott Wimmer. First time all day he's been out in front. Started 16th. We'll see how long he's out front. And you heard Hornaday have to kind of jump out of the gas there when he tried to get into it.
Like Rockingham. Yeah. Reminds me of Rockingham, how you got to apply the throttle here, just like there's an egg underneath the gas pedal. You got to go down very, very gently.
We're just past halfway in this race. Temperatures outside are brutal. When we started the race, the temperature was 102 degrees. Now you've been inside this hot race car for, what, an hour and a half of competition. Talk to me about what these drivers are going through at this point in the day.
Well, I mean, it just really depends on how good a job your crew did or you did to prepare for this. You know, if you're hot in the cars, you definitely start thinking about it. Whoa.
Now, he was pointing Jason Keller to his inside when he was coming down into turn one.
But, you know, it's difficult. If you get hot, like I said, it's hard to concentrate. You start thinking about the heat, and you stop thinking about what you're doing. Now, a lot of these guys like Hornaday, he's been around a long time, and you get adjusted to it. You know, you get used to being, you know, really hot in the race car, but it takes a lot to get air in these cars. Said I used to put an ice pack underneath my suit, on my chest, over my heart, and that seemed to do more than anything else I did. You say, well, you can blow air in on the driver. Well, it's 102 degrees outside, so you're blowing 100-degree air in your face from the outside of the car. So it's just something you really got to be conditioned for.
Check this out. Okay, so maybe that's what Hornaday was waving at Keller about.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a no.
Yeah, don't do that again. Wimmer's gotten away from these two. They're racing for second place. Ralph, what you got?
Well, adding a little bit more onto the story of the conditioning aspect of it and talking to some of the drivers, and Wally, maybe you can go a little bit deeper on this too. They say here in a place like Colorado or California or Arizona where you have more of a dry heat, the sweat tends to help cool your body, whereas if you're racing in a place like Charlotte and Talladega, high humidity, sweat doesn't tend to cool you down as much as it will in a cool or a dry area like this.
Is that your experience?
Well, I think when it's hot, it's just hot. When you sweat, you sweat. I mean, you know.
You just never thought about it that deep.
No, really. That Ralph, you got me on that one.
Well, Keller's finally got Hornaday to pick up that second spot. Problem is, while they've been dicing side by side, the leader, Wimmer, has gotten 1 3/4 seconds clear of them. There's Wimmer, and there's your race for second. Mark, what's happening down your end of pit road?
As you talk about the heat, Alan, of course, as the race goes on, the toll on the body, of course, increases. NASCAR will later in this race allow the teams an extra man over the wall to try to help the driver out. That might be the ice pack that Wally was talking about. Several have some special coolers in there. They've been sucking on some Gatorade or cold water throughout the afternoon, but they'll be able to have an extra man go over the wall, ice water, and of course probably a bag of ice for some of these guys later on today.
Yeah, and that's a big help, Mark, because, you know, the way these cars are now, the way the window nets are, it used to be you could just throw an ice pack in the side window, or they put it on one of those poles and they try to hand it to you. But the window nets are so tight right now and they take up so much of the window, you actually have to have somebody force it in the window to you. So that's it's a good move and very helpful this stage of the race.
Scott Wimmer's lead a little over a second on Jason Keller now. With Ashton Lewis third, Ron Hornaday fourth, David Stremme fifth. Championship leader David Green running sixth. And the big story of the last segment of the race have been some guys short pitting. We saw Scott Riggs, second place man in points on pit road under Green a moment ago. So what about the leader? What's his crew thinking of when they'll make their final stop?
The crew chief for Scott Wimmer is Chris Rice. Chris, these guys short pitting, has that changed your strategy of when you're coming?
No, you know, they're not picking up a lot of time. We pick up quite a bit when we get tired, so we're going to pit here just a little bit. So just waiting on a little bit of fuel deal here, you know. Got a good car here. Had a good car all weekend, you know. I'd just like to thank Stacker and YJ Stinger. They hung in here, you know, with us, and Bill Davis. Just like to thank everybody, and so we'll do here on the pits.
When are you coming in? What lap?
Probably the next one.
Here's Jason Keller in. Going to be a 4-tire change. They were in at lap 81. This is 175. Shane Meal is in. David Stremmy's coming in. How about Ashton Lewis? He's continuing to run in second spot. When will we see him on pit road? David Stremme almost missed the opening to pit road in that one car, but he got it wound down in time. And he's in for a stop. Ralph?
Well, the one is in, Alan. They started 12th today. They're currently running in 5th. They're a little bit loose. They're going to take 4 tires and some gas. Minor adjustments to the car. And David Stremme will be getting back out onto the racetrack, and we expect Ashton Lewis in another lap or 2.
Scott Wimmer is in right now. They're already around the right side. A good-looking stop. They're taking on 4 tires, making absolutely no adjustments to this car whatsoever. Scott likes it, and they're not going to change it. A little bit of a problem on the left rear, but now he's down and away.
Well, instead of going the 110 to 115 laps on fuel we were expecting, here are the leaders stopping 96 laps after they came in last. Ron Hornaday's in. Tim Fita was on pit road. Johnny Sauter is stopped and is beginning to head out. And here comes your second place man, Ralph Ashton Lewis.
Charlie Lewis, the crew chief on the car, making the calls on what they want to do to it. They're going to make an adjustment to the chassis on the left rear of the car. They will take 4 tires for Ashton. Been a very solid run for this team here today. Been very pleased with their performance. Lap time's been right where they like them. They get the car finished, all the fuel in, and away they go.
David Green took over the race lead when Ashton Lewis stopped. Now here comes David at the head end of pit road. NASCAR Busch Series Championship leader stopping with 72 laps to go as he rolls down the pit lane at the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit toward the attention of his crew. Looking for a good, smooth 4-tire stop here.
I don't see him making too many adjustments here. They may have made some air pressure adjustments, but I don't see any wrenches flying.
See the catch can man hanging on to that second gas can. They're not allowed to throw it back over the wall now. Good stop.
Yep, very good.
So David Green heads back out to join the chase. Joey Clanton took over the lead when David stopped. Now here comes Joey in for his service. Ralph?
Joey Clanton is in. The first tank of fuel goes in the car as well. 4 tires will be the call here as well. Doesn't look like they're going to make any chassis adjustments. Pretty happy with it. The first can of fuel is in. Come around to the left side of the car. Joey just waiting for the other tires to get put on, and he'll be back underway. A very solid stop for Joey Clanton. The tire service is done. Fueling is in, and he's away.
Yeah, a little bit long. But Clanton doing a fine job here today. Rookie driver out of the ASA Series. Casey Kane is not stopped in this cycle of stops, so the 38 car is the leader. And then once he comes in, the lead is going to go to Jason Keller, who got off pit road ahead of Scott Wimmer. There's Casey into 38. Remember, Casey got tangled up racing with Stacy Compton for second spot back at lap 81. Went to the back of the field. It's gotten back as high as 6th and 7th spots under Green. And now takes over the lead by running a little bit farther on this tank of fuel than some of the others.
Got to be careful not to stay out too long on those tires, because if your lap times have really fallen off, then you've got all these other guys behind you that are making up a lot of time right now because they have fresh tires. So if you wait too long and then come in and pit, you've lost a lot of track position.
Yeah, Casey's last lap time was a 29.56. Jason Keller ran in the 28s.
Yeah.
So he's given up a second anyway at 28.80. So he's given up, what, 3/4 of a second on that last lap. '27 car, Clanton, because Casey Kane is not stopped, is the first car 1 lap down.
Not for long.
Yep.
Back down the lead lap.
important in case the caution flag came out.
That's probably really what these guys in 38 car are obviously kind of gambling, hoping that a yellow would come out.
Well, he's only 8 seconds ahead of Jason Keller, so if he pits now, he's going to go a lap down. Might as well run it to the end of the fuel window, see if you catch a break.
Yeah.
Lead lap cars, we've got 12 of them right now. Casey Kane, Jason Keller, Scott Wimmer, Scott Riggs, and Ashton Lewis, top 5. Then Ron Hornaday, David Stremme, David Green, Stacy Compton, Johnny Sauter, Kevin Grubb, and Joey Clanton. Those are the top 12 that are on the lead lap. Here comes the leader giving up his position on the track for his stop. So with 65 laps to go, the cycle of pit stops will be completed as Casey Kane comes to the attention of his crew. Ralph?
Casey Kane is driving chassis number 36 today. It's the car that he ran in Nashville where he started 6th and finished 29th. Just going to take on some tires, make a small adjustment to the chassis on the right side, the right rear. They get that taken care of. The fuel is in. Casey, of course, been complaining like everybody else. The car's a little bit loose. Nothing too major. They got a tire stuck at the front of the car. Somebody's got to get that. That could cost them a little bit. An 18.5-second stop. Not quite as quick as they would have hoped.
Casey goes a lap down, though, by virtue of staying out for longer and taking a chance on catching a caution. So Jason Keller goes back out in front. 63 laps to go. He's in front of Scott Wimmer by 2 1/3 seconds. Check the gap. There's Keller. And there's Wimmer. Mark, something going on with that 23 car on his pit stop?
Alan, he got in here in the nick of time. That car was tightening up, and when they came in, they took the right front tire off, and you can see where I circled here, it began to blister. There's a patch out of the tire here, and a little bit farther back, there's some bubbles in it, so it was getting worse. They probably figured 3 or 4 more laps. If they hadn't come in, it might have blown. Now, the good news there is they had gone 92 laps to get it to that condition. After pitting, they've got only 74 to go.
Well, that's a save.
Hey, you got to be lucky to win these things,
absolutely.
You know? All right, so Scott Wimmer is off now in second place. He was the leader before the stops, but he's got a little hole to dig out of here if he's going to catch Jason Keller for the top spot. And Jason's going to give him room.
Yeah, Jason left it open.
New leader, Scott Wimmer. Thank you. Wow, so all of a sudden, the handle on Keller's car falls off, and here comes Wimmer with the big charge up to take the top spot. And now just 22 laps to go. Cool the racing surface off and send some of the car's handling for a little change. Joey Clanton trying to get 6th spot away from Stacy Compton. And they've got some slower cars ahead that they're going to come across here. Whoa, hang on, Joey. That would be a good illustration of a push, huh?
Literally.
So Clanton's got to regroup, and for now he falls back in line in 7th spot and tries to mount the charge on Stacy Compton again. Putting the lap on the Mike Harmon car, the 44. David Green has really fallen off here to the point that he's gone a lap down, Ralph. What's up with that?
Well, I spoke to his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe. I said, Jason, how's the car? And he looked at me and goes, not good. Right now, the car is very, very loose. They can make it to the end. They're just trying to survive, get out of here, Alan, with as many points as they possibly can. There is nothing they can do to fix the car or the situation now.
Yeah, it's something that some of the drivers were talking about happened to them in yesterday's practice. You go out, you run, the car behaves a certain way. You come in, you bolt on another set of tires, the car behaves a different way.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to adjust for that. I mean, you know, if you start chasing the race car, There's nothing you can do for that.
Might be the situation David finds himself in here. Green running now in 12th position with 15 laps to go. And if he finishes there and Scott Riggs finishes third, that's really going to tighten things up, even more so than it already is for that NASCAR Busch Series championship. So Green racing David Stremme for that spot. Meantime, Scott Riggs kind of running out there all by himself. Long ways behind second place, long ways ahead of third place, and he'll reclaim the championship lead if he's able to run that finish out where he is right now in third spot. So when Scott Riggs short pitted a little bit earlier at lap 162, which was about 13 laps ahead of when Keller and Wimmer made their pit stops, that worked out to his advantage. Those 13 laps on fresh tires allowed him to make up a chunk of ground.
And making the right adjustments. Obviously, they made the right adjustments when they made that pit stop to make that car work a little bit better so they could go longer on the tires. And he's got 5 seconds on the guy behind him. He knows he's not going to catch guys in front of him, so
just keep it between the walls.
That's it.
And Scott Wimmer out in front of Jason Keller by 0.8 of a second. Keller's trying to hang with him, but he's not been able to close in and mount a charge to try and retake the lead. Mark?
Take a look at Chris Rice. He started this race, and for most of the race, he was on top of the war wagon. He's climbed down. I said, why did you do that? He goes, I can't watch. I can't bear it. I'm just going to watch the screen, bark out the times to Scott Wimmer every once in a while, tell him about the gap between him and Jason Keller. He said, but I am not going to watch the rest of this race. I'm going to stick right here. He said, I am just so nervous as a rookie crew chief who has never won a race. Now, Scott Wimmer, this is his third appearance out at Pikes Peak, but as a young man, as a youngster, he made 5 or 6 trips out here to Colorado. He was a junior Olympic downhill skier. When he was 14 years old, he placed 13th among 150 skiers. Now, we do have a resident Alpine California surfer dude by the name of Ralph Shaheen. And Ralph, I know you guys were talking schmushing and moguling and all that stuff today, right?
Yeah, we did swap some skiing war stories, and we were talking about that, and I asked him, you know, when you're doing downhill competition, you're looking at speeds in the Junior Olympics, probably around 60 miles an hour, very steep, very icy conditions, no roll cage. I said, what happens if you fell on that? Did you think that hurts more than crashing in a Busch car at, say, 150, 160? He said, oh, yeah, there's a couple of times I put it into that orange fencing, cartwheeled down the mountainside, and never enjoyed that. He said, I never really enjoyed the cold air either, so you should feel real comfortable here today. And I also asked him, what did you get out of that you could take to the Busch car to help make you a better racer? He said the biggest thing he learned was that his skiing coach taught him to look 2 gates ahead down the mountain. He said that has gotten me to look farther up the racetrack, be more prepared for what I see when I get to the corner. I can always memorize a race course, he said, and here the good news is I only got to memorize 4 corners. Alan?
He's closing in on a victory today. 8 laps to go for Scott Wimmer. Things pretty settled up front, but this is for 5th place as Ron Hornaday is slipping back in that 2 car. Stacy Compton and Joey Clanton try to mount a charge and get a top 5 out of it.
Yeah, I would think this is going to be pretty hard passing Hornaday with 8 laps to go, 7 laps to go.
Hornaday, one of the contenders for the NASCAR Busch Series title, his 4th place in the championship coming in. Remember, 3rd place Brian Vickers went to the garage early in an accident. Look out!
Yo!
Well, he got the worst of that. So Hornaday back to 7th, and Clanton and Compton race for 5th.
I think he just probably avoided a pretty big wreck.
As wiggly as Stacy Compton's car was off a turn 2 there, may not be done avoiding wrecks.
No.
Slower cars ahead. It's the car of Hamilton Jr. back out on the track. Stacy trying to make some running room.
And he got blocked in by Bobby Hamilton Jr. there. One whole lot he could do.
Joey Clanton with the nice move to use the pick. So Clanton into the top 5 in his sponsor's race. There'll be some folks in one of these luxury suites up here at the racetrack pretty happy about that. Compton to 6th and Hornaday to 7th. Brian Vickers going to finish 29th today. David Green running 12th. Scott Riggs running 3rd. And our leader now with 4 laps to go. Scott Wimmer is from Wausau, Wisconsin. 27 years old, came on last season like gangbusters, winning 4 races in the final stretch run of the 2002 season. He picked up his victories a year ago at Dover, Memphis, Phoenix, and the season finale at the Homestead Miami Speedway. So far this season, his best effort has been a trio of 5th place finishes at Richmond, Kentucky, and New Hampshire last week. But his new crew chief, Chris Rice, really getting the feel together with Wimmer here over this last month or so, and Scott feeling like they're perfectly positioned for another late season surge to victory lane again.
Well, he just keeps it clean like he's doing.
2 more miles for Scott Wimmer. Trying to put Ashton Lewis a lap down. Lewis is the 9th place driver in that 46 car.
May not be trying real hard.
He can't lay back that far. Keller is just a second behind him, so he can't get out of it. And now 8 cars left on the lead lap. White flag is up. Final lap here at Pikes Peak. Scott Wimmer seeking his 5th career NASCAR Busch Series win. Lewis ducks to his inside, but gives the leader plenty of room. And somewhere up in Pocono on Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, Bill Davis is smiling broadly. The team owner for Kenny Wallace and Ward Burton in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series is about to watch his NASCAR Busch Series team take the checkered flag.
But of course, Gail Davis calls all the shots on this team.
Of course she does. And Gail's going to cash a nice check after Scott Wimmer wins the Trim Spa Dream Body 250.
Scott Wimmer crawls out of the car, and the shower begins here in Victory Lane at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Scott, come over here. Time for one quick question. Tell me about it, how you ran him down there at the end. Where did you find all that speed?
The guys made a great call on the pit stop. Jace Keller is a great race car driver. Been trying to win a race for a long time. My brother got hurt in a construction accident a few months ago, and he's pretty banged up. And I also lost my best friend, Flint Merwin, in a snowmobile accident earlier this year.
I love you.
So that wins for them. Stacker 2, YJ Stinger. We got great sponsors, a great team.
Heavy heart, wet microphone, wet driver's seat. He's your winner here today, Scott Wimmer.
Scott Wimmer with the victory. Riggs finishing 3rd. David Green, who led the championship coming into the day, despite that last corner spin, wound up finishing in 12th position. There you see Green. Parker Jr., defending winner of the race, winds up 15th. The big story of the day, besides the win for Scott Wimmer, the guys who had troubles that are involved in the championship. Brian Vickers, involved in a crash, finishes 29th today. Bobby Hamilton Jr. finished 25th, involved in that controversial incident with Mike Bliss, for which they'll both be visiting with NASCAR officials now that the race has concluded. And the championship standings heading to the race at Indianapolis Raceway Park next Saturday night are oh so close. Riggs back out on top, but just barely, with David Green just a couple of markers behind him at the conclusion of today's race.